With less than a week away from voting in the Iowa caucus, CNN decided last night to hold a last-minute Democratic forum hosted by CNN host Chris Cuomo. Now, if you watch the portion with Bernie Sanders, see the way that this worked is that a forum was sort of a one-on-one question, right? Where the candidate took questions from the audience as well as follow-ups from Chris Cuomo. So if you had watched the portion with Bernie Sanders, you might have noticed something. That something being a lot of right-wing talking points being asked of the senator. Now, I want to show you some examples of this, right? And we start out with part of Sanders' answer on his Medicare for All plan. And I really want you guys to notice the framing of these questions. Take a listen.
It is time, in my view, for us to have the courage to take on the insurance companies, take on the drug companies, and provide health care to all people at an affordable cost.
The criticism is to pay for this. What you're really asking for is one of the biggest tax hikes in history. And that is the criticism.
But, Chris, that is an unfair criticism for the following reason. If you are paying now $10,000 a year to a private health insurance company, and I say to you hypothetically, you're going to pay $5,000 more in taxes, or actually less than that, but you're not going to pay any more private health insurance, are you going to be complaining about the fact that I've saved you $5,000 in your total bills? So it's demagogic to say, oh, you're paying more in taxes. Let's also talk about we are going to eliminate private health insurance premiums and payments, not only for individuals, but for businesses as well. Again, we are the only country on earth that allows private insurance companies to rip us off. We spend 3 times more than the British, 50% more than the French. We can do better than we're doing right now.
All right, so that's a great answer by Senator Sanders, but remember, the framing. It's essentially the biggest tax hike in history. There's your framing, right? Now, his answer involves context. So, of course, knowing our media the way that it is, he's going to be taken out of context. Let me give you a couple examples. There's a headline from MSNBC pointed out by John Iadarola from the Young Turks that pointed out that a headline on MSNBC said, "We will raise taxes. Yes, we will." Where's the context? Is there any context? No, there's absolutely no context. And now, to CNN, one of their headlines, Bernie Sanders will raise taxes to pay for health care. Where's the context? No, you'll be saving money. Now, NBC.com actually did have a headline that said, Sanders will raise taxes, but you will save money, right? So that's a better headline, right? But the rest of them, well, have no context. Well, fascinating, fantastic journalism, guys. Fascinating, right? See, here's the issue. My issue is with the framing of Senator Sanders coming from right-wing talking points. And look, we've had this in all the different debates, in all the different forums, except for Rachel Maddow, right? A lot of these questions, and Maria Bartiromo, for example, one of the last Democratic debates, everything is framed from a right-wing perspective. The media frames everything from Republican talking points. Not from reality, but from right-wing talking points. And that's a big issue. When you frame everything from the right wing, you're essentially creating the narrative. And you're asking Senator Sanders and others to defend themselves against a bullshit narrative. That's my problem here. See, all they know how to do, unfortunately, in our media and corporate media is hammer the point of, but you're going to raise taxes on me. Yeah, they are. But, and here's the but, it's going to save you money because you will not end up paying for a private insurance company. You will not end up paying those premiums anymore. Some of that money, look, a lot of the money that you pay to your health insurance company doesn't go to your care. It goes to executive bonuses and advertising. Now, Medicare for All ends up being more cost efficient for you because it doesn't have that sort of overhead, right? It doesn't have to pay for advertising. It doesn't have to pay for executive bonuses or executive compensation. It doesn't have to pay dividends. It doesn't have to pay a board, right? All it does is that it goes to your care. That's it. That's what it's supposed to have, right? That means that you, in the long run, save money. But people have turned taxes, the word tax, into a dirty word. In American politics, tax is the dirtiest word that you could say. It immediately lights people's heads on fire. You can't say that. And that's sad, and they continue to use that bullshit narrative. All right. Now, once again, I told you, and Senator Sanders has told you, you're going to save money on this, right? Unfortunately, a lot of that context is lost when you frame it from the other side's perspective. Now, I actually have another example of that framing. Watch.
You will hear people say that your paying for it is actually punitive. You're going to punish people who make money. You're going to punish the financial district. You're going to punish and wind up changing the idea of an open and free economy, because you're going to punish them for speculating, which means they won't speculate as much, which means you won't get as much activity. And if you do a checklist of how you pay for everything, what you're doing is amassing the biggest government ever. After President Clinton said the era of big government was over, seems like Bernie Sanders is saying, not only if it's over, I'm going to do it bigger than ever. And what about the idea that you're bringing back the era of big government and making it bigger than ever? They don't criticize the goal. They criticize the method of how you achieve it. Give me a yes or no on that. Is the era of big government back with President Sanders?
Is the era of big government back? Big government. Bernie Sanders is going to bring back big government. That's your framing. That's your framing. Also, you noticed in there, you're going to punish businesses. You're punishing businesses, right? You're going to punish rich people for punishing or for being rich, right? Why are you punishing rich people? Why you got to punish the corporations? It's punitive. Once again, it's a great example of how taxes, how the conversation is dominated by the right wing, and taxes are considered a dirty word. And see, here's the thing, right? The top 1% has actually taken a massive amount of wealth from pretty much everyone, right? Everyone in the last 30 years without so much of a word. Because as soon as anybody says anything, they instantly say, you're punishing the rich. Why do you got to punish success? Why are you punishing success? No, here's a better question, right? Why are rich people being rewarded for exploiting workers? For polluting the land? Look, let's be honest, right? Wages have been stagnant for years. Productivity is up. How is that? Why are we punishing the poor and rewarding the rich for this exploitation? Why are we punishing the poor? I mean, we're doing it by trying to deny them health care, right? How about denying them a living wage? Because they said, we can't afford that. We can't afford that. Sure you can. You absolutely can. When your CEO makes millions of dollars a year, you're saying that you can't afford to pay your workers a living wage. Why are you punishing poor people? Why are you punishing hard work, the working class? Why are you punishing the middle class? Why are you punishing them by denying them the right to collectively bargain for their wages? Look, it comes down to this. The top 1% have been punching us in the face and taking our wallet for decades. Decades. And when we actually want to get some of that back, when we want to get paid fairly for our work, compensated fairly to help rebuild the middle class, corporations and corporate media cry, why are you punishing me? Why are you punishing me? Because you were just punching me in the face. That's why. But that's what they do in corporate media. I mean, after all, Chris Cuomo, as much as I've praised the guy before in some of his interviews, at the end of the day, he's also one of those rich people who feel like they would be punished by higher taxes. And I think overall, Senator Sanders really handled those questions in that framing incredibly well. Unfortunately, as we've seen, media outlets will resort to taking him out of context Because when you actually show people what he actually stands for and what he actually means and what he actually said, it turns out that regular people tend to like it. Okay. We move on. More attacks on Senator Sanders.